today. Today we have a returning guest expert, Digital Boost. We are big fans of Lisa Maya from Zeald. She always gives us great sessions that are full of epic details and calls to action, homework for us digital boosters, which we love. So today we're talking about setting up and optimizing important pages on your website. Now, Lisa's already told me that she's super passionate about this. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen today because all of our sessions already have so much passion. So here we go. Now, just remember that Lisa is fantastic at answering questions throughout the session. So if you have some, just let us know, pop them in the chat function, the Q&A function, the comment section, and get your questions answered by Lisa so that you can change the way that you're running your business and become more successful or take your business to the next level, wherever you're trying to get to. Welcome, Lisa. Thanks so much for joining us today. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me again. It's always great to be here. And yes, this is a topic I'm particularly passionate about. So we'll see where we end up today.
Yeah, and it's like really in your wheelhouse. Like this is your, this is what you probably talk about underwater all day long.
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll let you get started and I'll make sure everything's running in the back.
Awesome. Thanks. So we are today talking about setting up and optimizing important pages on your website. So what I'm actually covering off today is not your product page, not your service page. It's all the other pages on your website that are actually very, very important and help with a buyer's journey. So that's what we're covering off. Now, to break that down, first we're going to talk about trust and credibility, because that is really what gets someone to purchase from you or choose you as their service provider. Then we're going to quickly touch on first impressions, because there are some aspects that you do need to make sure are covered on your website. And then we're going to hit the important website pages for trust building. So we're going to go through aspects of the homepage, the About Us team page and FAQs, blog formats, testimonials, reviews, and a logo showcase, the Contact Us page, and then a quick recap with a couple of extras in there. So I have put a few tips along the way, which are obviously areas that I feel are probably the most important to remember on these pages. So we'll crack into it from here. So trust and credibility. So we got some stats this year, and they're from the Ernst & Young report. So I'll cover them in a minute, but trust is one of the main motivators for online consumers. It is a critical element that influences one-time sales and long-term relationships between a brand and consumers. 57% of New Zealanders say they have stopped buying a brand altogether over an incident that reduced trust. 57%, that is a massive amount of people in New Zealand, so this isn't global, this is New Zealand, have chosen to stop due to an incident that's reduced trust. And then 44% have told friends and family not to use a product. Okay, so this is where we have all these marketing strategies, and we'll stand by digital, definitely need to be on social, need to be having a really optimized website that helps with the conversion and helps build trust and credibility, because at the end of the day, word of mouth is still number one. And word of mouth is someone simply saying to a friend or a family member or a work colleague, I do or I don't like this brand, and here's my experience. So all these things end up wrapping into that, and that's why I just love this topic. So trust building elements should be incorporated across all your website and digital content. So this doesn't just include pages and platforms directly involved in your idea buying journey. It involves every area that your business has a listing. So Google My Business listings, any platform you have should have these trust building elements in them. So it's basically having the same message across every aspect of your business that is online. So the first few things I am going to cover off, which are important, but I'm not going into too much detail on today, are items that make the first impression count. So here, be on time. So be on time means having a website that loads quickly. So between 1 to 3 seconds. Now, there will be times where it's not always going to be this quick, but if 90% of the time loading that homepage 1 to 3 seconds, you are going to start with a good experience. The next thing is having very clear messaging that's very easy to read. You don't want anyone coming to your website to be hunting for information. You don't want anyone coming to the website to be trying to guess if they're on the right site or not. Most of the time, it means they'll go somewhere else. Then a couple of things that has come up over the last few years is having an SSL certificate. So that's that little sort of lock next to your URL or address bar. So that's very important to have because it lets people know that their data is secure. It also then, for Google in particular, means that if they're in Google Chrome, they don't get this message going, this site might not be trusted. Also, use well-known payment gateways. It helps reinstate this sense of security when someone's on your website. I know we have a lot of payment gateways that are popping up left, right, and center. It's probably getting a bit hard to count. I know I often try and list them off and I forget one or two, but try and use ones that are well known, either to you and people who potentially come to your store if you've got a shop, or just to what is on your competitor's site is a good way to check, or ones that you frequently know. Okay, so I say that because when people come across an unknown payment gateway, they're a bit more hesitant to try it unless they have some really good information around it. Now, the other thing here is a logo. So have your logo very clear, top left corner. It helps with that business and brand identification. In particular, if they've seen you elsewhere or they've seen something else, it's that consistency of seeing this logo. Then another key thing here, easy navigation. So sometimes gets forgotten as we add more to our website, the navigation can sort of easily be pushed aside because we just start trying to find areas to put something. So easy navigation means that it's very clear, very easy to move through your website, and that the menu is always going to be a good base point to go back to should you get a bit lost. And then the last one, which I think is very, very important for all businesses, is a simple and familiar layout and design. Now, what I mean by familiar is that people have in their heads an idea of what e-commerce or lead generation sites should look like. And because of this, it does mean that people are going to look for that when they're on your website. So while being innovative and trying to do something new with your design or your layout is good, it is about following these best practices and what's the familiar layout. Okay, so unless you're a massive, massive brand that probably generally can be a bit more adventurous in this space, what you should be doing is having these best practice layouts and following that familiar layout, and then be wearing them with your design, which is your images and your colors that are you're choosing to use on your website. So now that we've sort of covered that off, I do have one thing to quickly say. A good first impression can lead to longer visits and higher conversions. So there are actually stats around it. I had so many reports that I looked at that it was hard to choose, but ultimately all of them were saying a good first impression can make up for a mishap that happens later on. So if someone comes to your website, they have that good first experience, but let's say they then go to add something to cart their second time round and it's not quite working or it's taking a bit longer, people are more forgiving if they've already had a good first impression. Okay, so very key, and those are just some key areas that you should focus on. So now we're getting into the important website pages. So as I already covered off, this is where we're going through the homepage, the About Us and Team pages, testimonials and reviews, log showcase, contact us page, blogs, tips and tricks, FAQs, etc. And this example here is great, just showing how they've incorporated different areas with slightly different design to get these important website pages optimized and get the right messaging across. So let's kick into it with the homepage. So your homepage, your headline should be front and center, and it should contain your unique value proposition. So this is this bit here above the hero image. Now the unique value proposition needs to have clear messaging about who you are, what you do, and what you're offering. This is that sort of 5 seconds that someone lands on your website and they're making that decision on, is this where I need to be? Is this what the answer to what I'm looking for? Do I need to find, and do I need to scroll down to then lead me further through the website to find what I need? Without this, people often get confused. They land on a website, they think maybe it's the wrong place. So then part of that, it's not only the messaging, it's not only this unique value proposition, it's your hero image. It needs to back up what that value proposition is saying or relate somehow to your product. So earlier, one of the homepages I had was for Flax, which works with animals, and there was a lovely dog on their image, which relates quite easily to people who have pets, who do look after animals. So you need to think that the image and the wording here go together. Now, another thing for your UVP is never saturate it with keywords. So what I mean here is that you don't want to saturate this UVP with keywords of what people might search to find you, okay? It needs to be the true message of your company. It's essentially your elevator pitch. The keywords can go in other areas of your homepage. It can go in your metadata as well. So you don't need to use this crucial, opening scene essentially to try and get some keywords in there. It's also a good idea to keep it short. So I already mentioned 5 seconds is about the time it takes to get someone's attention and for them to then go, is this the right place for me? And start to look further. Okay, so keep it short. If you have too much in there, it can take too long to read. Now, obviously, in this example, it is a bit longer. Okay. If you need a few more words to explain it, then do that. But just overall, the messaging for this example is still quite short and quite to the point of what this charity stands for, okay? Then the next bit is having bright call to actions to direct the customers onto the next step. So generally, they're either bright or a contrast to what most of your logos and your images would be. So call to actions are very important, and I can't stress it enough that you need to be having them throughout your website to keep directing people through to the next step. Otherwise, what can happen is people can get confused. Now, in this case of this charity as well, I have chosen them because they've actually got 2 call to actions because they have 2 very clear pathways. That is fine, and that is actually best practice if you have 2 very clear pathways that you need people to pick one or the other. So don't be, afraid of having 2. Most businesses will only have 1 because they only have the 1 pathway, but if you do need 2, that's fine. But to try and not have too many either, unless they're very clear like this, okay? So then we move down the homepage a little and we move into a section where you would have features and benefits. So these are used to provide valuable information to your visitor quickly. So these are really features and benefits that are highlighting why your business, what's going to benefit them from choosing you, what are some of the key features maybe of this product or service. So here, this is where you can answer unique or cover off unique points, such as if you are NZ made, owned or operated, if you're sustainable, eco-friendly, natural, organic, vegan. For example, here, maintenance free fencing, long lasting, it's durable, it's cost effective, it comes with a guarantee. So generally we do link these in with little icons to help it be more attractive to the eye, but it is very short, sharp features and benefits which help someone quickly identify some of the benefits they will get. Okay, and this is what they're doing. They're now information searching for reasons why they should be coming with you or your product or your service. So here, what's special about what you're offering? Very short, sharp headlines. So generally a title and then it's a little blurb about it with either a learn more or go through to the view the product or the service. And then, like I said, icons to catch the eye. That just helps it be more visually appealing and helps with that design aspect that people are looking for. So a little quick tip here, and you probably already written it down because I did emphasize it before, but call to actions. So you've done the work to create that first impression, and even most of the time actually get someone to your website, okay? Don't forget to then use call to actions to direct the visitor to the outcome. Okay, don't waste all that hard work getting someone to your site. Don't waste all that hard work doing a fantastic first impression to then be lost with call to actions. And it does happen more often than probably you realize. And like I said, having them very clear. This one in particular is super clear. You basically, women or men, women, men, women, men, you are coming in, it's a clothing website. You're very quickly deciding if you're going to be wanting to look at women clothing or men's clothing. And they've got very, very clear call to actions, which you actually can't really get away from. And that's going to lead you through to the area that you need to go. So now the next area, which is, I've put it second because it is technically second on your website of being one of the most important pages, is the About Us page. So it's one of the key supporting pages that tells the story of your brand, including origins, milestones, how you started, why you started. It helps with creating that first positive impression, and it starts building that connection between your potential customer and your business. It is very important, and more often than not, and again, there's quite a few studies around this, and I know that data is being collected more and more on it. People often visit an About Us page before they move forward with a service or a product. They want to know who you are, where you are from, what you're doing, why should I choose your business, okay? So here's some key areas to answer. You want to inspire action and emotion. What emotion do you want your customers to feel when they hit your About Us page? What is the next specific action you want them to take after reading about your story as well? You want to use your About Us page to connect with customers to a level where you spark interest and urge them to get to know you more. So again, it's really going, well, this is where you humanize it. You tell your story. There's no point making it up. You just tell the people as it is. Obviously, in some words that make sense and some sentences that make sense. But here, it's just about being you. Why did you start your company? What got you into it? Is it a family business? Did something happen in your life that made you want to take action here? So this is where you really start forming that connection. And this is how you start getting customers that are fully going to support who your business is and your brand due to the fact of how they relate to this About Us. So you do, as I just said, want it to be very genuine. You want to write the story in a very honest voice. Some people are moving to videos in this space too, to be talking one-on-one. It works. So be very open about your goals or the hardships you potentially overcame and your values. This transparency and openness makes it easier for customers to trust you. All businesses go through some hardships. It's not, you know, your situation might be unique, but the hardships, it happens for everyone. Be honest about that and sharing that and how you've grown from that. People then know what they see in you. They'll see maybe, you know, that genuine factor, or they'll see that you are there to fully service and help the community if that's the space you're in. Likewise, if you are sort of supporting climate change and how things are happening by making your company more sustainable, this is another area to really connect with that and just have that space to not be so much about the marketing and the keywords and driving people through to conversions, but have that space to be just you, as if you're talking to one of your friends or family about your business. Then the next one as well, so use photos and videos. So having engaging visual content will help break up the big chunks of text. So you can use photos of video or videos of you and your team that are relevant to your page copy. So a nice little video, like I said, alongside some of the text can be very helpful, or maybe just an image of you and the team or those that started the company with you. That sort of history or information can be really helpful in this place. So again, it's the human factor. People still buy from people, and that human factor in the About Us page is very well needed to help with that approach of people buying from people. So to cover off a few more areas of what you can include in your About Us, here you can talk about the products or services you sell and why it relates to why you started. You can describe for whom your products or services are for as well through your story. You can share the core values of your business. So the reason why you're in business, or like I mentioned, if you are doing it due to climate change, for sustainability, here's a key area you can write that. Your core values could just be best quality of work, every job. Simple as that, but that's the space that you can share that. You talk about why you sell your products, why you're different to competitors, or why you're just different because you are who you are. You can talk about your business model and what makes it unique. If there is that area of your business that is quite different to how other people do it in your industry. And then, I know I've covered it off, but you're probably going to hear me say it a few times, you need to include at least one call to action. Okay, so you still need to drive them through to looking at your products, finding out more, getting in touch. So make sure to have that in there, but it's not going to sort of be your first sort of thing that you do here. You want to start engaging them with your story. So part of the About Us page as well, and something that is very important, is to introduce your team if it's not just you, or maybe you and you're another co-owner. So introducing the team further helps to humanize your brand. It communicates your company culture as well and helps get customers to know and trust your brand. So this is where you need to sort of think about how you really want your team represented. So in particular for the Time Out charity, I know Rhonda sort of wanted us all to put forward a picture that we wanted. So here's me down the bottom. This is me in Queenstown on my honeymoon. I remember it well, absolutely loved the day. And that to me just represented part of why I want to volunteer for that charity. So here she wanted you to put forward a picture that you wanted, that related to you. And we also wrote a little blurb about ourselves, which introduced the why for us as to why we work with this company or charity in this instance, and just a little bit about what I do outside of that as well. So for a business, not so much a charity, you can also use this to highlight significant milestones, such as awards, recognitions, potentially if someone's received a certificate or they've been working through some training to help them be more qualified within the company and provide better services for clients. So, and it may also include credentials or a link to your team members' social profiles, such as LinkedIn. So not so much Facebook and Instagram or TikTok, but it may link through to LinkedIn as well. So very key to have as part of this. One of probably the most common questions I get on this though, is my team member doesn't want to share an image. In those scenarios, you may need to look at other ways you could do it. So it may be that you just have sort of little cartoon characters I've seen on some websites. One actually has their superhero image, which again helps create a connection into a little bit about the people that are within the team that they may be working with or obviously purchasing a product from. And then one last space in the About Us area is the frequently asked questions. This doesn't just have to be in the About Us area, but it is generally connected because it's still to do with the company and some of your values and about your products, etc., or your service. So creating a dedicated page for frequently asked questions really helps you inform and educate your customers around a variety of topics related to your business. This can include location, contact information or how to get in touch, information or specifications about your products or services, information about your order fulfillment. So what happens once I order, what happens once I decide to go ahead with your service, return or refund policies, or any little things that they may need to know. So it helps save you time and allows you to establish your expertise in the field, because having this page here and having this information here means someone's less likely to ring you to ask these questions and be able to actually get those answers straight away, okay? Which for a lot of people these days is actually what they're looking for. They are looking for that reduced time. So you've got to think about people's time has majorly reduced as much as we wish it didn't. And so people are looking for quick answers to questions that they necessarily don't want to spend the time picking up a phone or meeting with someone to go through, okay? So the FAQs page can also help you become more visible to search engines and boost your website traffic. So there's also another bonus there. Okay, so Little expert tip here. So your About Us page should include your brand's unique selling advantage. So again, bringing through that unique value proposition from that homepage and into your About Us page, and why it is important to you and to your customers. So this is where you can really now write a paragraph about it. Don't have it on that little homepage area, have it in the About Us, where you can really expand on why your business's unique selling advantage is so important and why you. So now we move on to, so this one's probably, I've got it third on the list. It doesn't mean it's the third most important. This is one where it's not going to be suited for all businesses, but today I'm hoping to cover off enough different blog type of formats that you may find one that is actually suited to you. So creating high quality blog posts helps you build credibility as a trusted source of information or advice on topics related or within your industry. Okay, so it is a very good aspect to have on your website. It's also something that can be very easily used in email marketing and your social platforms. It can be used right across the board. But a blog, it can be very time consuming, but I have a few tips here that will hopefully help you with that. So pick a niche and focus on topics within that niche. So you do really want to then make this very specialized about where your expertise is. You never want to saturate your blogs with keywords. So again, leave that for your metadata and the odd keyword here and there, but you don't want to make sure you're writing based on keywords. You need to write with intent, purpose, and value. So you need to ensure that you are giving a little to then receive something as well. Okay, so I think that's very important, and it helps with that trust building exercise where you give them a little bit of advice, you give them a small tip, and then in return, they become more loyal or more likely to convert into someone who's purchasing or going with your service. You need to make your content scannable. So what that means is that someone can easily come in, and if they don't have the time to read the whole article, they can skim over it and scan it and get the gist of it and then decide if they want to fully read it, okay? You also need to ensure you're choosing images wisely here. So you don't want to have lots of images all over the place and make it seem a lot longer than it is. And you also want to make sure your images match what you're talking about in these instances. It's also a great pace in these blog formats where you don't have to just write. You can use blogs to show infographics or potentially videos. So for example, if you're a service business, let's say you've just renovated a house because that's what you do. Maybe you are able to go through and take some before and after videos. You can use a blog format to show that and talk through it. And that way, you're not really having to write it all out, but you have videos you're potentially showing and talking through the before and afters. And here, I think most important, quality over quantity. So don't sit there just trying to get out more and more blog posts. Make sure you are focusing on the quality of it. And I'll touch on why in a second as well. So we're going to go through different types of blogs. So first we're starting off with tips and tricks or how-tos. So this is another form of the blog format. It helps you establish yourself as a figure of authority in your industry as well, because you're building your brand's credibility and you're getting that trust by being a go-to for ways people can learn to use your products or do minor things themselves. So like I mentioned, this is where you're giving a little and in return, you could be actually getting a lot. So this is where you would utilize more infographics or short articles, little video tutorials, or quick written guides. So if you're like most Kiwis, we're quite DIY focused. So for those that are in those services industries, etc., being able to give them some tools themselves doesn't mean that they're going to stop with your service. It might just help them in the meantime. For example, I kept my eyebrows down professionally. But obviously right now with where we are in Auckland, I'm unable to go and visit the person who does that for me. She had actually chosen products she uses in her salon and she has chosen to sell those. And I purchased them, and in the meantime, I've been using it, great, but it's nothing compared to the actual service of going in, seeing her, having a nice chat and getting them done and looking really great, because I'm nowhere near as skilled as her. So it hasn't replaced it, it's just given me something to do in the meantime due to the circumstances. So this is the types of things that you're looking for. Think little tips, little tricks, little things people can do that ultimately could also save you time, because then you're not wasting your time on short little 5-minute jobs or 5-minute fixes, and you're focusing on the larger projects. Now, another type of blog that you can do is portfolio. So for a lot of service businesses, this is quite popular, and the portfolio page is one of the best and most straightforward ways of showing your expertise to potential clients. So this is where you're showcasing your best work. Okay, you can and again, video is great here as well. Show before and after, show what you've created, show what you've designed. If you are writing in these spaces, you need to write with your target reader in mind. So why would they want to know about you, or what about your service here is really what's going to connect with them? Okay, is it, the polish that you've got in the end? Is it, being able to take a job that was quite impossible and a lot of people would have said no to, and actually make it work? Okay. These portfolios should also be very easy to navigate. So you want to be showing off your best pieces of work quite easily, generally gallery view or a quick slideshow. You don't want people having to hunt to find your work. Another key area here is providing some context for the project. So don't just have the images of your work or what you do, actually have some context to it. Okay, so it's all good going, here's a website that we've done, because this is the Zeald page. It's all good saying here's a website we've done. But the key here is really giving a little blurb about why we're displaying this. What was it about this website that we've done that has really helped it? Okay, detail any results. So if you are in a business that has results after the piece of work, it's a good idea to always put those in as well. And that's where you can use more case study type material. If you're participated in a report or you've provided details, again, you can use those sort of results and rewards or recognition to support what your business and why you. And then here, you do need to balance detail and conciseness. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of people who are very, they look at their work. My husband, for one, he's quite a perfectionist in his aircon that he does. He makes sure everything looks fantastic. Sometimes drives me up the wall when I just want a job finished, or to finish and move on and relax for the day if we're doing something around home. But that level of attention to detail makes for amazing sort of photos and information. But at the same time, no one wants to sit there and then read about his 4-hour journey to achieve that. Okay, so you just want to make sure that you're almost bullet pointing to bring out the key details and really relate to your customers or clients. So here are my tips for blogs if you are looking into this type of format. And I think we do need to move away, which is why I've given quite a few examples, and I've actually got some more. I've moved away from just talking about a blog as being something that's written. It can be videos, it can be images, etc., because they're important and they're a way to keep your content fresh. So first tip is having the 3 S's: searchable, snackable, shareable. Searchable means it's discoverable on search engines through relevant keywords. So remember, don't spam or just have keywords everywhere on your blog or your article or your how-to. Make sure you just have some relevant keywords, and that will help it be discoverable on Google search or Yahoo search, etc. Snackable, small pieces of information that are very short and easy to digest or get the answer. So if you're like me and you've ever searched a recipe online, you end up with this 3-hour article to read through, because it details everything about how this person stumbled across the recipe and what made them want to try it and everything before you actually get to the recipe. It can be quite annoying sometimes. So make sure when you are writing these that you are doing them very short, concise, and be able to deliver the answer or the steps, if it's a how-to, quite quickly. Then make sure it's shareable. So make sure it's relevant, timely, and highly beneficial so that your customers feel compelled to share. So what this means is, if it's winter and you're in a business that mostly helps in winter, or you sell raincoats, for example, you probably would have a bit more information and articles in winter to be sharing with everyone. you wouldn't, in the middle of summer when it's absolutely, sunny outside, it's gorgeous, probably post something about making sure you have umbrellas or raincoats available in case it rains. Okay, so make sure it's relevant and timely to what your customers will be looking for. That will help them then share it. Hello.
Hello there. Hi. We've got a question. So it says, where do you put the keywords, in the title or in the article itself?
So if you can craft a keyword within the title, if you can craft a title with a keyword, do so. But again, you don't want to have a full title that is just keywords. So you sort of want to go, for example, if it's around, fix the toilet, that could be quite an easy title and actually would be what people are looking for if something's wrong with their toilet. Okay, so that can be in the title, but you can then also have it once or twice within your article as well. And then the real key areas when you're doing these is actually having them in your meta descriptions. So that's the information behind the page that should be more in the back end of your website that Google searches as well. So that will be a very key area to have those sorts of words too.
Oh, thanks.
Lots of places.
Yeah.
Cool. So like I said, if you follow, so now that we've made them searchable, snackable, and shareable, you now want to make sure that if you're following these, it will set you up with content for your multiple digital platforms. So in particular, one great thing about blogs and why it is highly suggested to do some aspect or some format of them is because you can use blogs in your email marketing, you can use blog posts to share in your social media and get people engaging and sharing them with their friends and family. Now, further to this is evergreen content. So this is why I said it's quality over quantity earlier. If you have very quality content, it is more likely that you're probably making it more evergreen based. So what that means is it's content that is not time sensitive, and it revolves around a topic that can be relevant or beneficial all year around. The more content in these sorts of formats where there is a bit of time you have to put into it that you have for these, the easier it is then to not have to put the time in over the long term. So your return on investment here is generally a lot higher over the years. Okay, so this is very important, and I think it's a good aspect to think about when you're writing these. It's not to say that you won't have a couple of articles that are more time sensitive. For example, New Zealand as a whole went into lockdown 3 months ago. We probably had some very time sensitive articles that popped up again. And so those can be used in situations like that. But let's say you'll more often than not want to be creating evergreen content compared to time sensitive content. So for example, and some more ideas for everyone, recipes is a good way to go if you sell something that can be used within a recipe. Okay, so it's not just recipes that are solely based on your products. It can be recipes where your products can be incorporated into them. Like I've already touched on, it can be displaying your projects or your work. Okay, and that will always generally be evergreen unless your business decides to pivot and do a different sort of type of work. Tutorials or how-tos, so how to use your products or how to use to maintain potentially something that someone's come out to do. So maybe you're a house wash company, you come out, wash the house, you may have some tutorials or how-tos on how people can then maintain that till their next house wash. Checklists are probably something people don't think of all the time, but if you're in an industry, maybe you are in B&B, you might have a checklist of things to make sure you bring on holiday, especially if you're in an area that's not so common, or you find you get more people outside of your local community that are coming there. You can have sort of checklists of what to do in the area or what to bring to make sure you're able to do most activities in the area. History is a really good one. So this is about those milestones when maybe major company events happened, potentially that you worked on quite a large project in New Zealand that became quite famous for some reason. History is a really good place that you can put all of these. Then the last one, which is also quite easy, is testimonials. So getting your clients to send you something they've written about you, or maybe even a video, or just as simple as a review. Testimonials are another great place to have these. And my little tip here is use a blog format to create content that answers why you. So don't forget, the key aspect of these blogs is to be creating content that helps someone build this trust and credibility with you, that helps see you more and more as a trusted advisor and someone to go to for advice, or when they are ready for that service or that product, come to you to purchase or make that, choose you as your service provider. So here, focus on building trust and removing risks for potential customers if there are any. So reviews and testimonials is now the next bit I'll touch on. So I did sort of talk about it at that blog end, but for some it can be quite separate to that. Okay, so according to the Spiegel Research Centre, almost 95% of consumers read online reviews before making a purchase. I believe I'm definitely one of those. So people relate to other people's experiences. So this is why we like to humanize things. So like I said earlier, humanizing who your team are, who your business is, helps people relate to you as a person and humanizes it. And people do that when they want to purchase or they want to choose you as their service provider. So honest reviews and testimonials help deepen that trust and increase the potential customer's chances of making a purchase. Honest reviews means good and bad. So as a little side note here, if you do get a bad review or you do get a comment that's sort of not the greatest for you, never delete, never hide from it. Go back to them. And one of the key things here is just respond, apologize that they had that experience or they felt that way, and then offer to take it offline. Taking it offline is probably the key here because you don't want something to unfold on the internet. You can't stop it once it does. So offer to take it offline by asking them to reach out to you through an email or through a phone number. Or if you have actually already taken that step, you can sort of craft a short sentence just to go, we have been in touch and we did provide a solution or something. So something really short and sweet depending on the scenario. But that actually helps with your honesty and that humanize, because no one expects everyone to be perfect all the time. And sometimes bad reviews and how you respond to them or how you deal with those situations can actually help a client choose you more over a competitor as well. Because if something goes wrong, which people are always slightly risk averse, slightly worried will happen, they want to know that you'll be a business provider that will work with them to a solution. Okay. Reviews and testimonials also provide visitors and potential customers with confidence in your product or service. So seeing people use it, seeing people like the product, seeing that it is as it looks in the photos does help people have that confidence in your product or service. Images with text or video testimonials are always a bit stronger than just a written review or testimonial. It may sound strange, but the images or the videos just help really have that connection from human to human a bit more and help them really see what they're talking about. And then if you are starting out, you've not really gone through reviews, just focus on the written first. And the best way to really do this is start asking for Google reviews. So I know I've covered it off. I know a few other companies who have come on Digital Boost have covered it off, but Google My Business is a great tool for all businesses, and it's an excellent way to start getting reviews. And the best way to also get reviews is just ask. So ask your clients to leave reviews, reach out to them, touch base personally and go, great, it's been a couple of months. How are things going? Are you still happy with the service? If you could you please leave me a review? Now, another way to also build this, so depending again on your type of business, and this is a bit more for those service businesses rather than products, is showcasing your clients, suppliers, and partners. So the logos highlights help you highlight who you work with and act as an element for social proof that helps you build credibility. When customers see a familiar logo, they will see it as proof of the quality of work you do. So that's very key. And in particular, when we're a bit more local, when they see other local companies or they see that your supplier is quite local, it further instills that trust within them. This can be standalone or it can be part of another page. So you don't have to, like, let's say you only have 5 people, 5 companies that you can list here because they're your suppliers. You know, you go straight to consumers, so you don't have other businesses to put here that you work with. You don't have to create the standalone page for this. You can have a logo showcase that's just small, short and sweet, and it can be in key pages such as the home page, the About Us page, or even the product page. So there's other areas that you can put this in. It doesn't just have to be sitting by itself. And then the contact us page that I do just want to touch on. So it probably seems quite logical sense. Make sure you have a contact us page, but there's some key information you do need to have on this. So a contact us page shows explicit intent to get in touch with you. It lets people know that it's easy to get in touch with you or find your location or your information should they need to get in touch. So the basic information you need to add here is a location or an image of a map if you are a store or if you have an office that someone can come to, a phone number and email address, your store hours, or maybe not store hours, but if you have business hours and therefore you only respond in those hours, it's important to have it there as well. Having a full inquiry form, and then of course a call to action on the contact page is very important. Hello.
Hello. I was going to wait kind of to the end, but then I saw one that was just related to what you were saying. So I thought, well, maybe let's knock that off and we can do both at the same time. Cool. So the first one that was really related to what you were talking about with reviews and testimonials. The question is, where do I put testimonials and reviews? Yep. Should it be a separate page on my website? Great question.
So it's always great to have it as a full page by itself. If you've got enough reviews, you can use it in that aspect. If you sell products though, and you're getting reviews specific to those products, then it's good to have certain reviews just highlighted on those pages as well to fully support that conversion process on the page. Okay, and then one thing that you will see is that most websites will take 2 or 3 reviews or testimonials and have them as a little sliding banner on the homepage that just helps. It's generally quite far down the bottom. It's sort of maybe 2 or 3 items above that footer area, but it just helps within that conversion progress down that homepage to keep gaining more and more trust from them. So there is a few areas, so 3. But, you know, ultimately, I think the one thing I always like is seeing a full page, like getting the full blown experience rather than just snippets here and there, because I think when you only see snippets, you kind of wonder, well, what else have people said? And so having a full page, you can actually get a very clear picture and be able to then balance the good and the bad as well.
Oh, that makes sense. So the second question was from this person was, should I delete old blog posts like last year's Father's Day sale?
It really depends on what the content in it is. So haven't touched on it too much, but quite often we say your content should be repurposed. So if the Father's Day last year, your blog post about it actually goes into a lot of details around here's gifts for dad that you could be getting any time of the year, or gifts for Christmas as well, like that sort of focus, just general, you could then repurpose it for other content. So making it, instead of about Father's Day, about Christmas Day, etc. But if it is something that you've made that was quite time sensitive, let's say that the post was just about the fact that you're having a Father's Day sale and you're going to have these certain ranges on sale, then it's not something you necessarily need to delete, but it is something that you're just sort of going to let fall away down the list, if that makes sense. So it's not going to be something that you want to be featuring front and center, but it is something that's going to fall away. I wouldn't suggest deleting because it can help with links to your website. I don't know if people notice, but I did it one year because I was trying to find out when Black Friday was, since we were talking about that earlier. Yeah. And I searched it and I actually found out like places like Noel Leemings, etc., actually have a Black Friday page all year round. There's nothing on it, but actually what it does is when it's not the sale time, it's just highlighting that they will be having one and that here's the month that it happens and the dates. So that's another way you can sort of use those older posts, is it just lets people know that you sort of do have sales or you do these items around that time, and it could just give some information.
Yeah,
That
that's
helps.
great advice. Thanks so much. Great
No worries.
questions too.
Definitely. So just carrying on about the contact us page. Oh, I'll just go back. So very important to have there. I know one of, apart from the about us page, contact us page is probably very popular to be used as well, because often people are out and about or they quickly want to get in touch. And this is what they'll be looking for to do so. So then another aspect to use on this is multiple locations. So if you do have multiple locations, make sure you list them all, and that you can easily highlight where your headquarters is located. So people, while they may only ever interact with maybe one of, for example, your childcare centres, it's good to highlight where the headquarters is or where the main office is, just in case. And again, provide the address, phone number, and email for each of these locations. So I just mentioned about putting business hours or open hours. So this helps with managing your customers' expectations, and your contact us page is a great area to do that. So this is where you can add a bit of copy to let your customers know what they can expect when they contact you. So if they contact you by email, are you more likely to call back, or are you more likely to want to come visit if you're doing quotes, for example, that sort of thing. And then you can also let them know, your business hours, so they can see that if they're contacting you at 8 p.m. at night and you actually close at 5, that they're unlikely to be getting you and would be getting a response the next day. Okay, so here as well, you can add a touch of human element by showcasing images of your support staff or potentially your buildings as well, because it's also a great way to let customers know who they will be talking to or what they will actually be seeing if they come to your office. So just think of little ways of using images to really support that human element here, in particular on the Contact Us page. So and I think the thing that we've probably learned throughout this is having a website and optimizing key pages on it boosts your brand's trust and credibility and helps you gain a competitive advantage. It helps them understand why they should pick you and really helps sort of instill that trust with them, which makes them more and more likely to want to purchase or choose you as their service provider. So we're into the last little bit here. So quick recap, because we have gone through a lot today, and a couple of little extras in here. So first impressions, have a clear message and a simple and familiar layout with easy navigation. Okay, so you want that first impression to be quite seamless. You want a customer to land on your website, know they're in the right place, and notice that it's quite a familiar layout to navigate through as well. Okay, so that helps with building that trust. You then want to make sure you're using your homepage to deliver that message, your features, your benefits, and then be using call to actions to drive customers around your website and ultimately to your end goal, which is either to get in touch to maybe get a quote or find out more about a service, or to get in to make a purchase on the website. Number 3, you want to use the About Us, the blog types, reviews, and Contact Us pages to build your brand's trust and really answer the why you question. And I think that's very important when writing or looking at these pages. You should be able to easily identify why you and really feel connected to that as a business owner. Number 4, try to keep content the 3 S's: searchable, snackable, shareable, to keep your customers engaged and have evergreen content that then can be utilized across many different platforms, and you can then have it be repurposed for the next year as well, and therefore grow the return on investment on the time initially spent on these. Number 5, which is a bit of an extra, stay fresh and update. So update your site regularly to keep your clients in the loop of your brand's new features and products or services, as well as important milestones and activities that they could also benefit from. So this might be you add some new products that you just got in. So you do a little blog post to talk about these new products, why you chose them, how they relate to your brand. Very easy to do. And once you've done that blog post, you send it out in an email or you pop it on your social media for people to share and know about it. So a great way to sort of get a release of products out there. Number 6, use your website as the key business base. So here you want to build your other digital platforms from it. Have all your key information, have all your main messages, have obviously all your product services on this website, and then use those to share aspects of it through your email marketing, through your social media, through whatever other digital platforms you use. Just use this as the key area of the information and of the messaging. Then B, use them, so use the other digital platforms to further instill your brand's message. So here it's very key that if you are using other digital platforms outside of your website, that you have those key messages and those key about us pages in the key little like snapshot of your business. So similar to the things I've covered off today, most of these are actually on social platforms or on other areas, and you should be putting those messages in there as well. And then C, make sure you utilize website content to generate your other digital platforms content. So like I said, building your other digital platforms from it, you want to utilize your website content, such as your blog, to then share it on your social media, do a little blurb about it, and then have people engage with you on those posts. So that comes to the end of the webinar. Just a very quick thing about Zeald. We've helped over 15,000 Kiwi businesses achieve digital transformation since about 20 years ago. Yep, 20 years ago. So if you are looking at a website or a digital strategy for 2021, request a free strategy session with us at Zeald.com. I should actually say 2022, we're almost there.
2022. Wow.
Yep. And if you haven't got a website, then we actually are offering free full-featured websites under our GEM initiative, which is Get E-commerce Movement. This covers e-commerce, charities, service websites. We've got a full suite of them, and we assist with the free website setup, a free domain and website hosting for 12 months. We've actually got free email marketing in there, and we do a Google My Business listing and Google Analytics setup for you. So again, head to Zeald.com and look for GEM, Get E-commerce Movement, if you need a website.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. Your sessions are amazing as usual. So much in the session. And there is a question that came through on Facebook that I've just popped in the chat. So it's, what if you have an online store that's run in New Zealand, but your customers are based overseas? Should you use your location in New Zealand?
That's a really good question. And I think it depends on what your customers are like. Okay, so for me, I do look for New Zealand businesses. I look for people that I'm supporting locally, especially with where we currently are. So that could be a very key point in your customers and your audiences. And it's important to understand that message, because if that's true, then yes, you would most likely want to be using an overseas address or somewhere that they feel is very local to them. But on the flip side, for example, honey is a really good one to use here. Yeah. People around the world really love New Zealand honey. And so showing your business is situated in New Zealand, even though your consumers could all be offshore and elsewhere in the world, is actually going to be a key in the success of your business, because they are looking specifically for New Zealand honey. Okay, so it's that sort of look at your audience, look at what they want to relate to. Do they want to relate to the fact that you're in New Zealand, or do they want to think that it's a bit more local, or they have someone local to talk to? And that should help with your decision. Ultimately, you're still probably going to have somewhere your New Zealand location. I know in particular for our payment gateways, you do need that. But that's just sort of those key decisions on what you highlight more often than not.
Yeah. Oh, great. Great question. Great answer. Just some thank yous coming in. Thank you so much. Fantastic content. Yes. And let me just let you know that I was having a look at this future sessions that are coming up with Lisa and Jara. They've got one on the 29th of November and then one on the 13th of December left for this year. You can register to those on the website. But what I was look at what drew my attention was when I typed in Zeald, like the number came up like 40 or something. There are so many. I don't think we've done 40 sessions, but that's where Zeald appeared in the schedule since January. So but there must be close to, I don't know, 30 or so sessions. So yeah, if you find this style of learning and you want to have a look at the archives of all the sessions that Zeald has done and all the content that they've put forward, they've really done a lot of work for Digital Boost and helped out a lot of people along the way. And you can do that by just type in Zeald in the search engine on the website. I think that'd be the best way to do it. And it'll pull up the archives of all the sessions that they've done to date. So many good ones. And you guys always keep the same layout. You know what I mean? Like every session runs like this. So it's just the content is different. So definitely take advantage of that. So I just was waffling on there for a moment to make sure that everybody's got their questions in everywhere. And it looks like we're all good on our different channels. So this might be it for us today. So
awesome. On time. That's always good.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Oh, well, I won't see you at the next session because it'll be Jara, but yeah. Oh, and I always say Jara. It is Jara, isn't it?
It
It's
is
not
Jara.
Jara.
No,
I've
it's
got
Jara.
to see, the problem is my friend has a son and she calls him Jara. And so it really confused me. It's spelled the same way. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you, Lisa.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Such a rock star on here. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Catch you later, everyone.
See ya. Ka kite.